Few films in the history of popular mature cinema have dared to go as far and embrace a theme as much as Taboo 2. Released in 1982, this sequel to the already infamous Taboo didn't just push boundaries, it obliterated them. At a time when genre films still embraced feature-length narratives, Taboo 2 continued the unsettling niche that the first had laid the groundwork for. Today, we are going to look into the making of a movie that merged suburban melodrama with a controversial transgression. This is the story behind the industry classic Taboo 2. What makes the film fascinating isn't just its content, it's the context. Here was a film that took themes from the outer edges of the genre and wrapped them in the comforting aesthetic of a family drama. It focused on the familiar, clean homes, family dinners, school buses, birthday cards, and then it tore that normalcy apart from the inside. Following the unexpected success of the original Taboo in 1980, a film that dared to tread what would have seemed dangerous waters, Stevens returned with less restraint and significantly more ambition. The sequel doubled down on everything that made the first film infamous, an unapologetic exploration of the core niche, high-volume genre scenes, and that compelling juxtaposition of wholesome Americana with morally unacceptable relations. However, behind a narrative that transparently leveraged shock value was a meticulously scripted, acted, and produced piece of cinema. The film was produced under the banners of Ad Art Films and Dart Enterprises, production outfits associated with all the early films in the Taboo franchise. Helene Terrie, writer of the first installment, was brought in to pen the script. Incidentally, she's credited as the sole producer of the movie too. A veteran to the niche, Terrie leans into its absurdity with a wink and a nudge. Her dialogue often feels like it was lifted from a daytime soap that somehow found its way onto a mature film set. There are moments of accidental comedy, yes, but there's also intentional satire at play. Terrie's style exposes the performative nature of domestic roles and repression, using exaggeration as a kind of mirror to reflect the hypocrisy beneath suburban decorum. In a genre not known for its writing, her work stands out, not just for the transgressions it documents, but for how knowingly, almost mischievously, it documents them. The vehicle for all of the action is centered on the life of the McBride family. Honey Wilder, known for playing sultry yet emotionally nuanced matriarchs, gives one of her best performances as Joyce McBride. She starts repressed, disconnected from her husband, and visibly exhausted by suburban malaise. But as the film follows the narrative flow of its niche, Joyce's transformation into a complicit participant arguably becomes its most engrossing arc. Eric Edwards plays Greg McBride, the dad, trying and failing to maintain some semblance of paternal authority. His evident affair with a work colleague and the eventual transformation of the relationship with his daughter turns him into a symbol of collapsed morality rather than a traditional patriarch. The ever-reliable Edwards, a legend of the industry even by the early 80s, brings a strange gravitas to a role that easily could have veered into parody. Dorothy LeMay, cast as Sherry, straddles the line between curious, adolescent, and full-blown femme fatale. Her chemistry with Kevin James, who plays her younger brother Junior, is so brazenly off the wall that it turns even mundane scenes into exercises in tension. James plays Junior with a frat boy arrogance that makes his advances feel all the more uncomfortable. And yet their performances maintain an eerie realism that grounds the absurdity in something almost, and I reiterate, almost believable. Supporting cast members come in the form of the deliciously sly Juliet Anderson. There's also the feature debut of Bambi and a brief one-scene appearance from Ron Jeremy. These appear as family friends, adding more fuel to the narrative fire. And let's not forget Kay Parker's return as Barbara Scott, matriarch of the original film. While no longer the central figure, Parker appears in a smaller yet impactful role. Her presence functions like connective tissue between the films, a reminder that the antics depicted didn't begin with the McBrides. Early scenes with Anderson's character and Junior helped to launch the narrative in an assured manner. Furthermore, Parker brings a sense of legacy to the film, and from a business standpoint, it didn't hurt to have her within the marketing campaign. To commend all the stars involved, they successfully fulfilled their roles as character actors in a film that needed them to sell its outlandish premise for it to work. Without their commitment to the emotional and anatomical beats, the movie would collapse under its own taboo-chasing ridiculousness. Filming took place almost entirely in and around Encino, California. The San Fernando Valley was both a physical and cultural nexus for genre filmmaking during this time. Officially documented shooting locations I could find included Ventura Boulevard, where Sherry buys a birthday card, and the intersection of Balboa Boulevard and Haynes Street, where a post-school walk unfolds in your average suburbia. Ultimately, the use of unremarkable residential streets, real homes, and storefronts was no accident. Stevens wanted his cinematic foray to feel unsettlingly close to home. Even the seemingly mundane decisions had purpose. When Sherry exits a bus along Ventura Boulevard and walks toward her father's workplace, she's not just changing locations, she's walking deeper into the film's core ideology. That scandal lurks just beneath the polished surface of American family life. Today, Taboo 2 remains a fixture in both mature and cult film discussions. Its willingness to confront and exploit the central theme ensures it will never be completely forgotten. It wasn't just a simple genre narrative exploring a certain niche. It was a bold statement and an uncomfortably intimate one. Through his skills as a director and the talent of his cast and crew, Kirdy Stevens proved that even the edgiest corners of cinema could have a vision. And when a genre scene is framed with a narrative construct of such weight, the underlying questions about repression, morality, and suburban malaise resonate that much further. Let's face it, over 40 years on and we are still talking about it. Not many films within the canon can boast the same